Hey everyone, it's John here, and in today's video we're going to take a look at 10 really useful features that every Excel user should know. So let's get started. The first Excel feature we're going to take a look at is text to columns. So text to columns allows you to take data that's in one column and convert it into many different columns. So here we've got some data that's all in one column, but we've got many pieces of data in that one column. So we've got a first name, a last name, a gender, a job title, and a city. And all those pieces of data are separated by a comma, but they're all in the one cell. And what we want to do is have each piece of data in its own separate cell. So text to column is going to allow us to do that easily. So we just need to select our data and go up to the Data tab and Text to Columns. That's going to open up this wizard here. Now our data is delimited by a comma. So we're going to choose delimited and we can choose next. And here we need to choose what our delimiter is. So instead of a tab, we're going to choose comma. And you can see in the data preview that we get lines between our names and gender and job titles and city. So we can tell that text column is working as we expect. Now we can press next again, and here we can choose where we want to have our data returned. So we're just going to put it right next to our original set of data. So you can go through and select each of your columns and select what type of data they are. So in my case, they're all text, but maybe you have some dates in there you want to flag as dates. And we can press finish, and Excel returns us each of those rows, and each value in that single cell has been separated out into its own cell. So here we've got the first name, the last name, the gender, and job title, and city. The next feature we're going to look at is flash fill. So we can use flash fill to extract and transform data that follows a simple pattern. So in this example, I've got a list of emails, and what I want to do is extract the first and last name from that email and also the company name in the email address. Now, all these emails follow the same simple pattern. So it's first name dot last name at companyname.com. And so because it's a simple pattern like that, flash fill is going to be perfect for us, and we can use it to extract out the information we want. So for flash fill to work, all we need to do is give it a couple examples. So I'm going to type out the first couple examples here, and you can see that flash fill has already guessed what the pattern is. So it's capitalizing the name, and it's only returning the first name before the period. So flash fill shows a preview of what its guess is. And if that's correct, I can just press enter, and flash fill fills in everything for me. Now I'm just going to delete that. And if you don't get flash fill doing that for you, what you can do is select your examples plus the cells you want to fill in, and use the keyboard shortcut Control E. And that's the keyboard shortcut for flash fill. So flash fill will fill in its guess. Just going to press Control Z and undo that. The other way you can get flash fill is in the Data tab. There's a command for it here. So flash fill, it'll do the same thing. And we're going to do the same thing with our last name. So we have to first give it a couple examples. And again, flash fill guesses what we're looking for. And we can check it and make sure it's correct, and then press enter when we're satisfied. If you're not satisfied, just give it a few more examples and hopefully it'll work. Again, let's grab the company name from the emails there, and it only takes 2 examples, and we can check and it looks correct. So press enter and we get our company name there. So that's flash fill. It's a quick and easy way to extract and transform your data by example. In this feature, we're going to take a look at auto sum. So if you've got some numbers that you want to add up, you can of course just create a sum formula and reference the values you want to sum. And maybe copy that over. And we can do the same thing here. Create a sum formula to total our values by region. But creating these formulas takes time, and there's actually a quicker way. So I'm just going to delete those formulas. The quicker way is to select the data and the areas where you want to add in your totals. And if you go up to the Home tab, there's a command here called AutoSum, and click on that, and Excel is going to add in those sum formulas for us. So if I press F2, we can see that we're referencing the data above with a sum formula. And also here, if I press F2, you can see that we're referencing the values to the left. Now I'm just going to delete those because there's a handy shortcut. So I'm going to select everything again, and Alt equals will do that exact same thing. So that's the keyboard shortcut for AutoSum, Alt equals. Let's just delete that again and select everything. If you want to do anything other than sum, you can do that in the ribbon. There's no shortcut for this, but from the ribbon in the Home tab, if you click on this AutoSum button here, that's just the sum, but there's some options to the right. If you click on that, you can also add an average, count, max, or min. So let's try out max maybe. And we get a similar thing. So if I press F2, we have a max formula, and it's referencing all the numbers above. Let's check out this value. It's a max formula, and it's referencing the numbers to the left. So that's AutoSum. Quick and easy way to add in sum, average, count, min, or max formulas to your data. The next feature we're going to look at is recording a macro. So the macro recorder will record all the actions you perform in Excel and convert them into Visual Basic code. And then you can run that code again and perform those same actions. So if you find you're always doing the same thing in Excel, you can record it once and then play it whenever you need to do those same actions again. In order to record a macro, first we're going to have to enable the Developer tab. And you can do that by right-clicking anywhere in the ribbon and going to customize the ribbon. That's going to open up Excel options, and we're on the Customize Ribbon tab here. And in this section, we have a list of all the tabs available. And notice that the Developer tab is unchecked. We can check that off and press OK. And that's going to make this Developer tab appear. And we have this section here for Visual Basic code. So we're going to record a very simple macro that just auto fits the column width to our data. So to do that, let's go to our Developer tab and start recording a macro. You can give it a name. I'm just going to leave it at macro 1. And you can also give it a keyboard shortcut so that it's easier to replay. I'm just going to leave all the default options and press OK. And I'm going to select my entire sheet. And then I'm going to double click on the columns, or in between the columns, to auto fit the size of my columns to my data. And then I'm just going to select A1 and stop recording. And now if I change those back to something smaller, I can go to my macros, and macro 1 was the one I just recorded, and I can run that, and it's going to auto fit my column widths for me. Now this is a great way to learn Visual Basic, because if you open up the Visual Basic editor, you'll be able to navigate to the module that it just created, and you can see the code that it recorded for you. And when you get more advanced with Visual Basic, you'll be able to edit these and add logic to your code to make it more usable. This feature, we're going to take a look at grouping sheets. So I've got 4 similar sheets here. I've got quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. And If you need to make the same change across multiple sheets, we can use the feature to group sheets together before we make that change. So let's say I want to add some formatting to this grid of numbers, and I want to do the same thing in all my sheets. Then what I can do is select the first sheet and then hold Shift and select the last sheet. Now you can also select sheets individually by holding Control and clicking on them. Once everything's selected, you can just make your changes. So let's go to the Home tab and add some borders. Let's also format this as a currency. And once you're done, you can right-click on your sheets and ungroup those sheets. And now if you look at all those different sheets, you can see that that same action has been applied across all my sheets that were grouped. So that's grouping sheets. You can perform the same actions on multiple sheets at the same time and save time editing your workbooks. This next feature is a 3D sum. And so if you have a lot of sheets and you want to sum them up across different sheets, you can do that with a sum formula. And let's say referencing individual cells. So I can go to my Q2 sheet and reference that cell, and my Q3 sheet and reference that cell, and my Q4 sheet, and close off my formula. And that works. But if you have a lot of different sheets, so maybe instead of quarters, you're dealing with months, and maybe you have several years of month sheets, and individually referencing those cells would be a little bit of a pain. So we can do what's called a 3D sum instead. So if we type out our regular sum formula, reference our first value, and hold Shift and click on our last sheet, then you can see that it's created this 3D sum reference. So it starts at Q1, goes to the Q2 sheet, and references cell C7 in all of those. We can close our formula and press enter, and we got our values all summed up from all those different sheets. So in this feature, we're going to take a look at how we can easily delete blank rows from our data. So we've got some data here, and we can see that it's got some blank rows. Now there's not that many in this example, but if you have a longer list of data and more blank rows, you're definitely going to want a quicker way of deleting blank rows other than just manually finding them, right-clicking and deleting. And I'm just going to undo that. What we can do is select one of the columns or all the columns that have blank data. And then we can use the go-to command. So we can get that by either a keyboard shortcut, Control-G, that'll open up the go-to command dialog box. We can also go to the Home tab and find and select and go-to. That's going to open up this same thing. And in the go-to command, what we actually want is go-to special. Now I'm just going to cancel that because you can also go to find and select and go directly to the special section there. And what we want is go to blanks. So this is going to go to all the blank cells in our selection. And now if we just right click anywhere, we can delete. And what we want to do is delete the entire row. So we can delete the entire row. And that gets rid of the entire row of those blank cells for us. So that's how you can quickly delete blank cells in your data, or blank rows rather, using go to special. In this feature, we're going to take a look at how we can fill down data. So this is a pretty common situation that you might come across. So we've got some data here, and it's a list of sales for different locations and for different salespersons. Now, this set of data here is actually all for James. And instead of having this listed down, whoever's created this data has just decided that it's easier to see when James is only in the first row and then blank down the rest. Now, if you want to fill down this data, you can double click on the fill handle for each of those. But again, if you've got a long list of data, that's going to be quite a pain. So let's just undo those. And a quicker way is to select the cells you want to fill down. Press Ctrl G to open up the Go To command. And again, we're going to go to blanks. And that's just going to select all our blank cells. And without touching anything else, we're going to press an equals to start a formula in the first of those cells. Up arrow key to reference the cell above. And instead of pressing enter, what we're going to do is hold Control and press enter. And then that's going to fill all those selected cells with the formula that we're entering in the one cell. So here we're referencing the value of James above. When we get to Mark, because it's a relative reference, we're still referencing the cell above, which is now Mark. And same with Jen and Sarah. And we probably don't want to leave these as formulas. What we probably want to do is Control C and copy, and Control Alt V to paste special. And we're going to paste those as values. And that just removes the formula. So this is now just a value. In this feature, we're going to take a look at how we can remove duplicate values from our data. So I've got a small set of data and there's some duplicate rows. So we can see, for example, here, Shirley, 7,640. And I've highlighted the same row down here, Shirley, 7,640. James, 2,740. And we've got that duplicated down here. What we want to do is just remove those duplicate values and leave one of them intact. So we can easily do that if we select all our data, go up to the Data tab, there's a command, remove duplicates. It's going to open up this menu. Now our data does have headers. So our first row there contains column headers. We're going to leave that checked. And we want to base our determination of it being a duplicate based on all the columns. So that means every value in every column will have to be the same in order for it to be considered a duplicate. And we can press OK. And we get a message here. We've got 6 duplicate values found and removed. And we have 16 unique values that are remaining. And just visually, we can see that we've removed our duplicated rows that were highlighted. So that's how we can remove duplicates easily with the Remove Duplicates command. The next feature we're going to look at is the Advanced Filter feature. So with any set of data, you can select it and go up to the Data tab and add filters. And these filters are going to allow you to filter on any column. So for example, I can filter down to Billy, Clarence, and Donald. And then I just get the rows visible with the first name, Billy, Clarence, or Donald. Now, if I want to keep that filter and filter on people with last names other than Hart, Brown, or Murray, I won't be able to do that with these filter toggles. So to do that kind of filtering, we're going to need to use the advanced filters. So let's just clear those filters. And to use the advanced filters, we just need to set up outside of our data a list of criterias. So the criterias that we want to filter on is, let's try filtering down to Jimmy and Shirley as the first name, or people with the last name Hart and Brown. And if we're doing an or style criteria, we need to offset those. So here I've got Jimmy and Shirley, and we can take any last names. So I leave those blank. And we want to filter on last names of Hart and Brown and any first names. So I'm going to leave those blank. And now let's select our data and go to the Data tab and click on the Advanced Filter. And we can filter our list by copying it to another location. So we'll just get a copy of all the filtered values in a new location. In this example, we're just going to filter the list in place. So we're going to leave that as our selection. And then we need to select our criteria range. So in this case, it'll be this area here. So all my columns and down to all my criteria. And with advanced filters, we can also choose to just show the unique records. So if we have any duplicates, those won't be shown. In this example, we'll show every value. So we'll leave that unchecked and press OK. And you can see that we've been filtered down to Jimmy and Shirley. So here's Jimmy and Shirley. And then we also have been filtered down to Hart and Brown. So essentially with the regular filters, we're only able to do and style criteria when we're filtering. So people with the first name of whatever and last name of whatever. But with the advanced filter, we can do or style criteria. So we can filter on people with the first name of Jimmy or the last name of Brown. So there you have it. There's 10 really useful features that every Excel user should know. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel for future Excel videos. That's it for this video. See you in the next one.